Georgia.
The American people, and I quote, affordable, quality health insurance coverage. The title of the law even centers on the word affordable. But I'm not sure how anybody can possibly argue that Obamacare is affordable when the letters I'm receiving from constituents over and over every single day, time and again, reference a significant increase in their total health care cost, and virtually 100% of the letters that we are getting indicate that not only are the monthly premiums going up, but the deductibles going up, their copays are going up, and it's simply going to be more out-of-pocket expense than either actively working individuals or retired individuals ever thought they would have to pay for health care. Tara from Columbus writes to explain what is happening to her children. She says, I carry medical insurance for my 2 adult children because they cannot afford it on their own. And let's remember, Obamacare covers children up to 26 years of age. Being one that has always had medical insurance and knowing the value of it if something bad happens, I have also made sure that they both had some type of coverage when they became adults. The sad part is I have gotten a letter on both, and now their insurance will be canceled because I, as their parent, can no longer afford to pay it for either one of them. We received a letter which shows where their old policy covers everything, and I mean everything. But because of Obamacare's requirements to carry everything, and a new policy will cost us twice as much each month. With me being unemployed and my husband the only one working, we have no choice but to drop their coverage. Winnell from Roswell, Georgia wrote, my private coverage was superb, but now my insurance premiums are going from $319 a month to $769 a month. And not only that, my copay is increasing from $5 to $20 for my primary care visits and $5 to $50 for specialist visits. I will be responsible for $500 per day out-of-pocket cost if I am hospitalized. Before, my hospital costs were included. And I will also have to pay for any tests. Before, all my tests were included. And apparently, subsidies do not apply to me. Loretta from Canton, Georgia writes, I received a letter from my insurance company dated September 25, 2013. I had until November 15 to choose to remain with my current coverage until December of 2014, the end of next year. My rate increased by 16%. According to the letter, the Affordable Care Act premium will increase by 139%. My former plan did not include maternity. I am 60 years old. I do not need maternity coverage. My new plan will include maternity, and my old plan was great for preventative care. I paid nothing for immunizations, including tetanus and flu shots. I paid a $30 copay for a doctor visit. My prescriptions have been very reasonable. The new plan requires a network of doctors and hospitals. The premiums were between 150% and 200% above what I am paying now. I did not enroll, but have received numerous emails reminding me that I need to enroll. So far, I'm hoping that I can keep my premium at the 16% increase for at least the next year until the end of 2014. Otherwise, I will not have health insurance. I cannot afford the new premium. Kevin from Roswell, Georgia wrote and said, we are a family of 4. We have and want a catastrophic-only, high-deductible health plan with low monthly premiums and full coverage once we hit our deductible. We like our plan, very typical of a lot of families who were promised by the president, if you like your plan, you can keep it. We were paying $500 a month until July of this year. I had a bladder cancer in November of 2012, which was successfully removed, and I require no follow-up treatment, just biannual checkups, so I did expect an increase in my premium this year. In fact, our premium did go up to $560 a month in July. On November 1, I got the letter telling us that our premium was now going to $902 a month, a 60% increase. After 3 separate calls, I got the information that the $902 a month change was option B, which is an Obamacare compliant plan which covers abortion, birth control, and maternity care. Since we could not have children, we adopted 2 kids, so that coverage is 100% completely unnecessary for my wife and me. Option A, we came to find out a few weeks later, was the option to keep our plan with an increase to $617 a month. This plan will be canceled on December 31, 2014, at which point we will be forced to get an Obamacare compliant plan costing much more and covering things that we will never, ever need. Now, I'm sure the senator from Mississippi has received dozens and dozens and dozens of these letters, just like we have in my office, and knowing that the state of Mississippi has a lot of rural areas, just like my state does. In fact, I live in a rural area. There's also a huge discrepancy created by Obamacare between insurance premiums in rural America versus insurance premiums in more urban areas. Many of these premiums and deductibles are so high that it defeats the purpose of having health insurance. And this really does get close to home for me because I truly live in a rural part of our state. In 2 of the regions designated by Obamacare of Southwest Georgia, there is only one insurer, one insurance company that's offering coverage. And the premiums in that corner of our state are much higher than in the rest of our state. It's the poorest part of our state. In Region 1, which includes Albany, Georgia, the least expensive silver plan for a 21-year-old healthy Georgian is $360 a month. That's the highest rate in the state. In Region 15, which is also in that part of our state, the same plan is $330 a month. Now you have to remember, these are people who are paying $0 today because they aren't covered. They're either going to have to pay a fine or they're going to have to take this coverage. In Metro Atlanta, the cheapest silver plan for a 21-year-old is $179.20 a month, matching the rate in regions in Northeast as well as Northwest Georgia, which are more populated. That's half the rate of an individual in Southwest Georgia, where the income, average median income, is the lowest of any part of our state. So needless to say, households in rural Southwest Georgia often do not have the same income as those in the Northwest and Northeast part of the state, but yet they're being stuck with the highest premiums. And I could go on and on about these anecdotes and about the serious economic consequences that Obamacare is going to cause on individuals in my state, but I want to turn back over to the senator from Mississippi for some additional comments.
Senator from Mississippi.
Indeed, this does hit rural America much harder, but it hits all Americans hard. I would ask the gentleman if we can speak as if in a colloquy, Mr. President.
Without objection.
I didn't hear any debate during 2009 in the extensive hours that I stood on the floor and listened to the other side propose this. I didn't hear any debate explaining that in situations like in Georgia, folks in the metropolitan area would pay half the premium that folks down in rural Southwest Georgia would pay. That was never something that the majority party in proposing this so-called Affordable Act said, now we're going to have to live with this, just want you to know that. It's a total surprise and one of the myriad unintended consequences of this unfortunate law. Did you hear any
if the senator will
to the American people, Senator?
The senator's exactly right. Obviously, we both spent an awful lot of time on the floor of the Senate debating this. I mean, we were, as we talked about, we were here voting on Christmas Eve 2009 against this bill when it passed with 60 Democratic votes. No Republican in the United States Senate voted for the bill. No Republican in the U.S. House of Representatives voted for the bill. It passed with all Democratic votes. And if the senator will recall that famous quote by the then Speaker of the House, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, what we have to do is pass this bill and then we'll figure out what's in it. Well, guess what? What we are just talking about here is just one of the myriad of consequences that the American people are now finding out is in that bill. And they have every right in the world to chastise everybody that voted for that bill that didn't read it, because these are the real out-of-pocket consequences to hardworking taxpaying Americans that were never talked about on the floor of this Senate or the floor of the House.
Friend from